Raider Nation, what's going on? This is the Raiders Report, brought to you by BetDSI, and I'm your host, Mitchell Renz. I got news, I have some rumors, I have rumors from y'all, plus I got the 3 best and worst Raiders from this season. The first news bit I got, Derrick Johnson, and he has been released. This was a player who the Raiders went out and got earlier in May. Now, the 35-year-old, he went down as probably one of the greatest Chiefs of all time, and he's not going to go down as one of the greatest Raiders of all time. His playing time has dropped in recent weeks just from, I think when you look at a player who might be coming up a little bit, like a Amari, I think that's one of the main reasons. And Johnson, he was a guy who played in 39 and 43 snaps in weeks 1 and in weeks 2. But over the last 2 weeks, just 18 and 17 snaps. Not really what you're looking for. And he recorded 17 tackles in 6 games. Now, Gruden did wish Johnson the best of luck because, well, he's one of those veterans. He's one of those older guys, and Gruden, he just loves those type of players. The next news bit I got for you guys coming up here, I think it's a pretty good one. And, well, Jason Cabinda, a guy from Penn State, a guy who I've actually watched personally, he's joining the team now because the Raiders, well, they got rid of Derrick Johnson, and this is going to be a good opportunity for Cabinda, who's a guy who's an undrafted free agent out of Penn State, and he's a guy who I think that can step in, at least be a solid depth play, and he plays with a lot of heart. This is one of those Gruden grinders to me, a guy who plays with a lot of heart. He was ranked 9th in career tackles at Penn State with 286, and he's just, I think, like I said before, a Gruden grinder. So this is what Gruden had to say. We didn't want to lose Cabinda because Cabinda could have just left because he was on the practice squad, and there was a lot of teams interested in him. So Gruden said, all right, this is a guy who I want to develop. This is a guy who I want to build. So we're going to put him on the 53-man roster. The next one coming up here is a news bit, and this one's kind of funny, and I need to make myself laugh because this has been one of those seasons where it's been frustrating. So, is Jon Gruden fired yet? If you guys haven't seen this, I want you to do it after the show, okay? So I want you to go to isjongrudenfiredyet.com. Can you do that? Isjongrudenfiredyet.com. It may be the funniest thing I've ever seen on the internet, and I don't know who created it. The person who created it has not come out and said it, so if it was any of y'all, let me know. Hit me up at MitchellReds365. I will give you credit on my show if you're the one that came up with it. The thing that I love about this is it literally tells you how much Gruden has made since you've arrived on the website, and it just counts it up. It tells you how much Gruden has left to make. It tells you how much he's made to this point. And in the very beginning, is JonGrudenFire.com yet? Like, it literally says no. So, I want to know from you guys because I was thinking about this today. Who's the bigger bust? Who's the bigger Raiders bust? Is it Jon Gruden, give me a mad face, or a laughing face for Jamarcus Russell? I think it's an interesting one, but hey, if you're talking about just straight up money, right now the way it's looking, Gruden could be up there. So, bigger Raiders bust, Jon Gruden or Jamarcus Russell? Raider Nation, thank you so much for tuning in to the Raiders Report. My name is Mitchell Reds. Please follow me on Twitter at MitchellReds365, and make sure you guys subscribe to YouTube.com/Raiders Report. Because guess what? I'm going to be pumping out a whole bunch of new content and special content that you can only see at youtube.com/Raiders Report. For any of you that are new, you need to understand my Raider rumor scale. 0 Chucky heads, tuck rule, tuck that. This rumor, not going to happen. 1 Chucky head is a small shred of truth. I like to think 25% chance of happening. 2 Chucky heads, people are talking 50-50 coin flip. 3 Chucky heads is pretty likely 75% chance of happening. And then 4 Chucky heads, believe it, baby, 100% this rumor is going to happen. The first rumor I got coming up from the board, the Raiders are going to cut Derek Carr. Now, I'm going to give this one only 1 Chucky head, small shred of truth. But I say that because let's not forget about what could happen next year. The Raiders would save $15 million by cutting Derek Carr in 2019. So this isn't for 2018. This is for 2019. Nobody is safe from Jon Gruden. If there is one thing that I have learned from covering the Raiders, it is nobody is safe under Jon Gruden. And if you're not producing, you have a chance of being cut. So Gruden has often come out and criticized Carr, but he's also come out and said that Carr's looked really good and that, he thinks that he could be a franchise quarterback. But when you're just looking at it, the fact that they could save $15 million, that's alarming to me. Now, here are the most expensive quarterbacks in 2018, just in terms of how much they're making this season. Jimmy Garoppolo's up there with $37 million, but then look at Derek. I mean, he's up there as a top 4 quarterback being paid, top 3. He's making $25 million this year, and is that really what you want some guy making? Like, sure, his completion percentage is great, but just 3.6 yards per dropback against the Seahawks. He's not stretching the ball down the field. I understand they have a lot of stuff going on there. But, Derek, you're getting paid big money. You got to step up. So, should the Raiders cut Derek Carr next season? Give me a heart for yes or a like for no. I want to know from you guys. I've been getting a lot on Twitter, a lot in the comment section on YouTube. Should the Raiders cut Derek Carr next season? Guess what, guys? If you don't want to watch Derek Carr next season, I don't blame you. But guess where I'm going to go to bet on all the Raiders games next year? I'm going to go to chatsports.com/bet. I've been betting on games all year, and I've actually been doing pretty well. Hey, I'm going to be honest, though. I've been betting against the Raiders, so don't get mad at me. And you guys need to go and bet at BetDSI. It's the #1 sports book. It's the only sports book we trust here at Chat Sports. You're going to use promo code LIVE120 for 120% deposit bonus. It's the best deposit bonus on the internet, I promise you. Chatsports.com/bet. You know what else you can bet? I got another Raiders rumor for you coming up here, and it's Melvin. Rashaan Melvin, is he tired of being a Raider? I'm giving this one 4 Chucky heads. Believe it, baby. Because why? Dude just straight up said on Twitter, he's frustrated and upset because I'm just tired of it. And this is one of those guys who I thought has actually been playing pretty well. And this past week, for some reason, he didn't get a lot of playing time. And Melvin, I had him as one of my winners in previous weeks, and PFF has him as one of the highest rated cornerbacks. So, I don't quite understand why somebody's been playing actually pretty well isn't on the field, especially starting. And you could tell that Melvin was frustrated. So, Gruden, man, let's get our best players on the field, okay? Because when you don't, it kind of looks like that you're tanking. Speaking of tanking, are the Raiders tanking this season? This is one that I've been hearing a lot around the rumblings on the internet. I've been hearing a lot on Twitter. So, are the Raiders tanking? I'm going to give this one 2 Chucky heads. People are talking. Now, there was a report that the Raiders are tanking. Straight up. But Gruden just came out and said, ain't nobody tanking. And I get that, right? Gruden said nobody's getting up at 4 a.m. to tank. And I think as an NFL player and as a competitor, you're not going to tank. But when I look at the Raiders team, they're 1-5, last in the AFC West. And I think everybody watching the show can honestly say that the Raiders, from a talent standpoint, I'll say 7 weeks ago, they're not the worst team in the NFL. But they're playing like the worst team in the NFL. So, I want to know from you guys, this has been a frustrating year, and I think it's amazing that you guys still watch the Raiders Report because y'all are diehard fans. So I want to know, how many years have you been a Raiders fan? I know you guys always throwing in those comments, Raider Nation for life, but I want to know the exact number. How many years have you been a Raiders fan? Let me know. Comment below, please. Next Raiders rumor coming up, Marshawn Lynch. Is he going to be out several weeks? Now, Marshawn, he banged up his groin, and Gruden's a little bit worried about it. Is he out several weeks? People are talking 2 Chucky heads. So, the report is Lynch's injury is something to be worried about, but there still isn't enough information in regards to how long Lynch could potentially be out. It is a hamstring strain, and in Gruden's press conference, he said that him and the entire Raiders team is worried about it, and I'm worried about it. Why? Because Marshawn's been, I'll say, he's not been the best offensive player on the team, but he's been a guy who's been able to set the tone. He's been a guy we've been able to rely on. He scored 3 touchdowns his first 3 games, and I don't know, he just hasn't quite looked very healthy since. But if Marshawn's going to be out, who's going to step in for him? Who's going to be the running back that steps up for the Raiders? Maybe take some pressure off of Derek Carr. So I want to know from you guys, comment below. Who should be the Raiders starting running back if Lynch is out? Should it be Jalen Richard? Richard's looked really good, 31 catches this year. Should it be Doug Martin? I hope you don't say yes because I don't think it's Doug Martin. So Jalen Richard, Doug Martin. Is it someone else? Let me know. Who should be the Raiders starting running back if Marshawn Lynch is out? Next Raider rumor I got coming up, Gareon Conley. Is he going to be traded before the trade deadline, which is in 13 days? I'm going to give this one 3 Chucky heads, and I think it's pretty likely. NFL Network came out and said that teams are going to be calling for Conley. We all know the hype that Conley had before he entered the draft. There's a reason why the Raiders took him in the first round. But this guy didn't play a single snap against the Seahawks. There was a lot of hype of him this offseason that he's going to get it going, but he's been a guy who's been battling injuries. And maybe Conley now can finally find his upside of what he was supposed to be on another team. Because right now he's ranked as the 76th cornerback according to Pro Football Focus. And if there's a guy who I don't think is meshed whatsoever with the Raiders, it's Gareon Conley. And I think teams are going to come out and try to get him. And at this point, I think the Oakland Raiders need to move on from Gareon Conley. The last rumor I have for you guys, it's Amari Cooper, and is he going to be traded? I'm going to give this one 1 Chucky head, small shred of truth, but I say that as a caution. And if I say it's 1 Chucky head, I mean, I really wanted to make this 2. The Raiders are currently shopping Amari Cooper. They are currently shopping him but Jon Gruden denied the report. The issue why I don't know if he's going to be traded is because the Raiders won a first-round pick. Like, the fact that the Raiders won a first-round pick for Amari Cooper, I get it. If you would have told me Amari Cooper for a first-round pick his first 2 years in the NFL, probably would have went for it. But when you look at last season, 680 yards, 7 touchdowns, and what he's done this year, it's been a roller coaster ride. I really don't think the Raiders are going to get a first-round pick. But, as I said before, those first 4 years, Amari, he was really special. Or his first 2 years, he was really special. And then when you just look at it from an entire sample size of somebody from 4 years, like, Amari was one of the only players in NFL history. He's one of 3 guys with over 70 catches and 1,000 yards. So, Amari Cooper, is he going to be traded this season? I don't know. But in terms of could he be traded down the road? Potentially, yeah. But I want to know from you guys. Should the Raiders trade Amari Cooper? So type T for trade or type K for keep. Should the Raiders trade Amari Cooper? If we're getting a first-round pick for Amari, yeah, trade him. I don't think that's going to happen, though. So I think in that sense, I'm going to keep him for this year. Maybe next year, though, the Raiders move on. My name is Mitchell Renz. Please follow me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365 and make sure that you subscribe as let me point to the right way, to youtube.com/Raiders Report so you get all the new Raiders shows that I got coming out. And if you guys want your rumors on the show, again, subscribe, youtube.com/Raiders Report. My next segment that I'm getting into are the best and the worst Raiders entering the bye week for Oakland. And the first guy I got coming up, it's Marshawn Lynch, and I really hope he's going to be healthy, but it's not looking like that. He's been running with toughness all season. He's been setting the tone for an Oakland Raiders team that definitely needs it, and he's been able to take pressure off of Derek Carr, and we've seen these last few games how much Derek has struggled without a guy like Marshawn Lynch. He's had 11-plus touches in every single game this season. Every single game. 90 carries, 376 yards, 15 catches, 84 yards. Marshawn, my man, I hope you're healthy because we need you in Raider Nation land, or else it's going to be hard to watch because he's one of the only guys that I really look forward to watching on offense at the moment. The number 2 guy is Tahir Whitehead. This is one of those guys who came over from the Lions. He's had 2 straight seasons of over 100 tackles, and he looks like he's going to be over 100 tackles again this year. Currently leading the Raiders with 43 tackles. No other Raider has over 30 tackles this season. When I watch him, I think he is no doubt the captain of that defense. Yes, it's a bad defense, but still, he's at least going out there and he's playing with a lot of heart, playing with a lot of snaps. Tahir, keep it up, my man. Keep it rolling. I think the best player on the Raiders team that I've seen so far is Mo Hurst. And I'm giving a shout-out to friend of the show, Mo Hurst. This guy's been great in the trenches. He's been playing with a ton of heart on every play. And you can see when he makes a play, the entire Raiders team, the entire Raiders organization gets lifted up. 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and let me just say that, a big forced fumble, 3 passes defended. Maurice Hurst has been the best Raider entering the bye week thus far, in my opinion. But I want to know from y'all, because this show isn't just about me. Who has been the best Raider thus far? You can say anybody that you want, any player that you want. Who has been the best Raider thus far in 2018, even though it might be a small list. Small list of places that I trust, there's only one. And I'm only going to trust BetDSI when I make my bets for college football, for NFL, literally, and hey, and NBA just started. So go to chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code LIVE120 for 120% deposit bonus. What does that mean? Put down $100, get 120 for free. Pretty good, right? Thank you, BetDSI. Now, let's get into the worst Raiders since entering the bye, and I think the first guy on this list has to be Derrick Johnson. There's a reason why that the Raiders released him. He was playing a lot early on, and he hasn't been playing so much now. 17 tackles, 0 sacks. I just think that he looks like he's 35 years old. He looks slow. He looks old. He's not really getting it going with the Raiders team. And I think it's ultimately why he was released. And there's a reason why a guy like Jason Cabinda is now taking his spot. So, Derek, I appreciate you. I've been a fan of you for 13 years, but you haven't been as good in the silver and black. The next guy who I think has been the worst Raider, it's Gareon Conley. I think he's been the worst Raider on defense. A guy who was one of my breakouts, because this guy has all the talent in the world. It's there. I just don't think he has the mind or the intelligence to play quarterback at the NFL position. Like, he didn't play a single snap in Week 6. He's a first-round pick in 2017, and he's not even playing because he can't get on the field because he's just getting outplayed by other cornerbacks. 10 tackles. He does have an interception, and he does have a touchdown. So, sure, his stats look okay. But you invest a first-round pick in Gareon Conley to not play at all in Week 6. Gareon, sorry, my man, you're a loser. The biggest loser, and I think I'm going to get a lot of agreement on this, it's Derek Carr. And the reason why it's Derek Carr is because he's making $25 million. He is no doubt the guy that they are paying the most around, and he's supposed to be a franchise quarterback. But 7 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, tied for the most interceptions in the NFL with 8. He's tied with Case Keenum. Bad turnovers, really bad turnovers at critical parts of the game is absolutely killing the Raiders offense, killing the Raiders mojo, and it's one of the big reasons why they only have 1 win. And not only that, he's not putting the ball down the field. Not stretching the ball down the field. So Derek, I'm sorry, in my opinion, you're the worst Raider thus far entering the bye. But I want to know from you, who has been the worst Raider thus far? Please comment below. Let me know if you want to hit me up on Twitter. I would definitely appreciate that. Raider Nation, thank you so much for tuning in to the Raiders Report. I'm hoping the season gets a little bit better. I will say that you guys make my week being able to talk to you, and I hope that I make yours. Please follow me on Twitter at MitchellRens365. There's no game this week, so I won't be there. So I'll be back Wednesday. So until then, go Raiders.